So, Kelsey Mitchell was terrible in the playoffs. But if you are a fan of the Fever and you think the Fever, for any reason, the Fever should not pay her a max contract and every cent of the max, you are crazy. And I mean that. I mean that. If you think that she does not deserve every cent of the max, you're nuts. Especially in this free agency class. If they lose Kelsey Mitchell, and a lot of people are saying, like, Kelsey Mitchell, like, the Fever shouldn't keep her, the Fever are going to get somebody else. Who? And I mean that. Who? So that you have to find a two-guard, and you need to find a scoring two-guard. Because the only player I think is a better fit is Dejanay, and you're not signing Dejanay. Dejanay is the only player that's a better fit because she can kind of score and they need a defender. But Taurasi, obviously not. He's like a guards. You're not paying Wheeler another max. Kelsey Plum is not coming to Indiana. And you might be saying Satu, but like, what? Satu what? Like, you can get Satu as well as Kelsey Mitchell. At that two-guard position, I'm trying to... Who is the next best shooting guard? Ariel Powers? No. Sammy Whitcomb's like 36? No. Kia Nurse? Definitely not. Tiffany Mitchell? No. Natasha Heidemann? Like, maybe Heidemann, because she can kind of play 1-2. Is she the next player, or is Walker Kimbrough the next player? Like, what are we talking about? I'm, like, trying to find the next best player. It's probably Heidemann. Heidemann or Walker Kimbrough are the best players if you don't get Kelsey Mitchell, and you're going to have to overpay for one of them. That is the dumbest thing you can do. Core Kelsey Mitchell. Just core her. She's not going... Even if she doesn't necessarily want to be in Indiana, core her, sign her to a one-year deal, and if she wants to walk in 2026, let her walk in 2026. Let her walk in 2026. If I'm Indiana, 1 year, every cent of the max contract, she'll be happy out with that because the great reset comes in 2026 and everyone can go wherever the hell they want in 2026. So if she wants to be gone, let her go in 2026. But if she even wants to leave, freaking core for a year. She's not going to sit for a year. She is not going to sit out on a 1 year deal. Like, nobody's going to sit out on a 1 year core deal in their 20s, even if she wants to be as far away from Indiana as possible for 1 year. So you just don't lose her. Like, she's not. And if you look at teams that would suit Kelsey Mitchell if she leaves Indiana, I'm trying to think. I'm like, even just for her own basketball fit, are there any teams that would suit her? I don't think so. I really don't think so. Because I'm looking at teams. The Atlanta Dream have Ryan Howard and Alicia Gray at her position. She wouldn't start. There's no point being another Enrique to an Enrique. There is no point being Kennedy Carter with Kennedy Carter. Kelsey Plum's already at the Aces, and Kelsey Plum is going nowhere. The Connecticut Sun doesn't fit, and they can't afford her. The LA Sparks, maybe if they get Paige Beckers, Sparks might be. The Sparks might be a shout, but the problem is they're the worst run franchise in the league. The Fever, obviously she's there, perfect fit, is not a fit with the Lynx. The Mercury, maybe to replace Taurasi. The Liberty, can't afford her, don't need her. The Mystics, Ariel Atkins, Brittany Sykes, I don't know if she starts. And the Seattle Storm, they already have Joel Lloyd. There is no reason. There's no reason for her to leave Indiana. This year, anyway. Maybe during the Great Reset she'll leave. But I don't care how she's been in the playoffs. Kelsey Mitchell has shown that when she wants to be, she's the best off-ball player in the W. I stand by this. Kelsey Mitchell can... If Caitlin Clark is Steph Curry, like people say, Kelsey Mitchell has to make a choice. She can either be the Steph Curry... She can either be the Klay Thompson to Caitlin Clark, Steph Curry, or she can be the Monte Ellis to Caitlin Clark, Steph Curry. And the ironic thing is that I want you to watch back on all of those games where Kelsey Mitchell was dropping 30 points. Tell me how many of them came off more than 3 dribbles. I wish there were like stats as in-depth as the NBA. My prediction would be Kelsey Mitchell off more than 3 dribbles shoots between 25 and 30%. And Kelsey Mitchell off less than 3 dribbles shoots, I'd say closer to 60%. That is my that's my prediction. Don't know, Wayne, that would be my guess. Kelsey Mitchell goes from one of the most efficient. She is, when she commits to playing off the ball and cutting, spotting up, attacking weak side closeouts, attacking closeouts on rotation. And when the one thing she stopped doing in the playoffs, and not even the playoffs, she stopped doing after she didn't get player of the month in August, is she stopped looking for Caitlin. As in, if you want to watch the games where she was doing big, like the Mercury game all the way for a while, what she would do was, if she wasn't one dribble to the basket, she would pass it to Caitlin, knowing she's going to get it back. She constantly was dribbled to the 3-point line just so that she could give it back to Caitlin. She just stopped doing that. So we need to see, we've seen Kelsey Mitchell, we've seen a version of Kelsey Mitchell in that first 10 games after the Olympic break. That version of Kelsey Mitchell is top tier, best shooting guard in the league. But we've also seen a version of Kelsey Mitchell who is just a worse version of Jewel Lloyd, Arike, Kennedy Carter at two different spells in the season. We saw that early in the season and we saw that very late in the season, like the last 5 games. We have seen that version of Kelsey Mitchell, and we need to see next season. If I'm Indiana, you give her the 1 year max. You're not going to get anyone better. You need her for a year. If you want to compete, you are not competing without her next year. She'll play for a 1 year max. You might be saying, oh, she wants a longer term contract. Nobody wants to be under contract through 2026. Everyone wants that 1 year because the salary cap's going to spike, especially if she thinks she's a max player. Like her contract, I think a max is going to be $250,000 a year this year. There's a possibility that she could be on $500,000, $750K post the CBA. So that is the reality of it. So if I'm the Fever, I hire a better coach than Christy Sides and sit her down and be like, look, we want to keep the big three together. We want to keep yous together and build around yous, but you gotta be part of it. You do not go ISO. You are not the focal point, but you are the player that finishes our plays. And if a good coach would sit her down and have all the footage being like, you see, when you were averaging 25 a game, you should have been player of the month. This is what you did. Everything was off the ball. You played off Caitlin Clark. What you did was you used Caitlin Clark's gravity to get open, and because you were so deadly, you stopped allowing Caitlin to be double teamed, which freed up Caitlin, and therefore the two of you were unguardable. What you did in the playoffs is you went ISO and you stunk it up. We need Clay Mitchell. We don't need Monte Mitchell. A good coach would sit her down, show her where she's effective, show her where she's not effective, and say, we need you to do more of what you do well, and not what you think you do well, what the stats show you do well, whether it be from team success or individual success, shooting percentages. We need you to do more of what you do well and less of what you do bad. The problem is Chrissy Sides, I don't even know if she watches tape. But I think a good coach with a good system can turn Kelsey Mitchell into the best shooting guard in the WNBA. Especially with Caitlin Clark on the team. So Indiana, pay her every cent. She will stay. She will stay. And if she doesn't want to stay, core her. She will stay. No question about that. She'll be there. If you give her a max. Lynn Dunn, I have a weird feel. I don't think she'll be the GM. Whoever the GM is, if you pay her 1 cent under the max and she walks, you better know what you're doing. That's all I can say. If you pay her 1 cent on the max, I don't care how poor she was in the playoffs. I'm sorry, she's still going to be better than putting Heidemann or Walker Kimbrough in there, who you're not going to who are going to be the best shooting guards other than her in the draft. This team in the short term needs Kelsey Mitchell. No, she's only going to sign a 1 year anyway. If you offer 1 cent under the max and she walks, I think it's time to stop being, I was about to say it's time to stop being a Fever fan, but I'm a Leeds United fan. Once I pick a team, I'm that for life. So anyway, I'll see you guys.